After my analysis of the black and white photos of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge at the Earthshot Prize, there was one that I missed, and it was this. It's a Chris Jackson photo of Catherine entering the stage, and it's been gaining traction. People are sharing it, using it as background, and you might be wondering, there's something special about this picture, but I can't tell exactly what it is. And in this video, I'm going to dissect why this photo is so good and why people like it so much, and in the process, level up your observation and interpretation skills. Welcome back, my Body Language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Body Language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. To better understand the elements of Kate's photo, it's important to keep in mind a very easy rule when you're going to appreciate a photograph or a painting or any kind of visual art. And it's the relationship between dimensions versus distance. In this case, it's a photograph, and you can watch it in your mobile phone, but it's always better to see it in an iPad or a computer or TV, so it has more breathing space in your field of vision. But at the same time, you should be separated from the piece at least 2.5 times its largest dimension. To make it easier to understand, let's imagine that you're watching this photo on a TV and your TV is a 36-inch. So 2.5 times that dimension is 36, 36, and 18. So you should be standing 90 inches from the screen. If you're at the museum and you are in front of a painting that has a maximum dimension of 1 meter, then you should be standing at least 2.5 meters from it. It really doesn't matter if you take the diagonal dimension or the largest between the width or height, and the distance where you stand doesn't have to be exact. But I suggest this because we usually stand too close to pictures and especially paintings, and maybe even photographs, and in doing so, our mind is going to focus on the details, but we are going to miss the whole composition. And the only way to truly appreciate composition is to stand at enough distance from what you're observing. After we have absorbed that general composition, then we can proceed into the subtle details. We can get closer. And that's one of the great things about this picture. It almost exclusively talks through the composition itself, because you cannot see Catherine's face or her hands. So at first sight, this picture is special just because it forces you to appreciate its composition. And this could have been a very boring photo if it's not for this really interesting factor. When you see the picture, it is almost symmetrical. It's like having a mirror in the middle. Symmetrical photos, most of the time, are not that interesting because they can lack dynamism. But this photo makes up for it with the use of contrast. The frame is divided into 3 areas. 2 main dark areas and 1 light area in the middle. Just by breaking the frame into 3 parts makes the photo more interesting, and the number 3 itself has a wonderful symbolism. The Greek philosopher Pythagoras said that 3 was the perfect number because it represents wholeness in many ways: past, present, and future, beginning, middle, and end, birth, life, and death, and for example, in Christianity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That's why when you are given any kind of speech or presentation, if you need to give a series of examples, it should be 3 of them. But at the same time, that division in 3 plays with weights. Darker areas in any photo are perceived as heavier, while lighter areas are going to be perceived, well, lighter. Since Kate is in that lighter area in the center of the frame, she becomes visually the center of that light. Yes, the light is actually coming from the lamps in the ceiling, but we don't know that until we look at the details of the photo. That's why I stress how important it is that your first impression should be at some distance, so you can absorb the composition first. This is fundamental so you can enjoy art the way it was meant to be enjoyed. And by the way, you can refine your observation skills with my 100 body language tips that you can download right in the description of this video. But not every line here is vertical or horizontal, and the handrails that you can see on both sides have a very important role in making this picture so good. I'm going to make a test here and create a version of the photo without the handrails, and maybe you agree with me that this way it just lacks something. Well, the handrails add much needed diagonal lines to the photo, and something very fascinating about perception is whatever shape you see, no matter if it's just a line, your mind is automatically going to assign physics dynamics to it. For example, if I show you this rectangle, you don't know exactly why or how, but you feel like it is going to fall to the ground, even if you're absolutely sure that it's just a drawing. But the fact is that our brain is programmed to perceive these dynamics that could be dangerous in real life, so we can have better odds at survival. And our mind will not care if it's just a drawing. Going back to the handrails, if we apply the same perception dynamic to them, our minds thinks that they are falling to the sides, effectively pushing the dark areas to the sides of the screen. Both handrails falling to the sides create a dynamic effect on the light area, like it's expanding. But light areas and light colors like yellow already have that ability to expand visually. But here the composition reinforces that effect. But, of course, the photo is not really moving, it's static. That movement only happens over and over in our mind and creates this pulsating perception like that light is pulsating from Kate outwards. But the handrails do not stop there, because if you see Kate's reflection on the floor, you'll notice that all three items form an inverted triangle. And you might remember from other videos that the inverted triangle is a feminine symbol, one of the most important feminine symbols across multiple cultures. So just from the composition, in a very elegant way, this picture is a celebration of femininity. When you get closer and notice the details of the picture, you spot a second, more subtle triangle that almost blends with Kate's figure. The upward triangle is, of course, masculine, but also a symbol of ascension. That adds another layer of movement to the frame, where you have one big triangle spotted at first sight and a second one more subtle in opposite directions. The intersection of all these dimensions of movement is Catherine's body. She's at the center of the frame, and as such, is like the center of a spinning wheel or the center of the solar system. It's the spot where all those energy collides, but at the same time it's the more peaceful area of the system. It's so spectacular, she being the source of this light, the center of all movement around her. And there's also one interesting detail, and that is that you cannot see her face. In art, that's a symbol that has many meanings, like anonymity, modesty, and mystery. Did you notice that I used 3 examples? Remember the number 3, the magic number. But then, any of those meanings are positive for her image in this photo. Like, you don't need to show your face to be the center of that energy, or that she can be the source of the light, but at the same time be modest or humble about it. And well, mystery is always welcome in any form because it's something that naturally attracts attention. I'm really glad that you've been interested in this analysis of photos, because going beyond body language is the realm of symbols. That is a fascinating topic, and how you can convey a meaning without using any words. What is going to happen is that you will start to spot this kind of patterns in movies and shows and understand why those images produce certain reactions in you. And that's great, because that way you'll be able to enjoy movies and art and photos in a deeper level. And I'll be here nurturing your ability to catch those subtle details and meanings. If you want to support my channel and help me make more videos, all you have to do is like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my body language analysis and tips. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and I'll see you soon, my body language buddies.